So, welcome back to part 3 of this series where we will serve our request from front end to backend. So, for that, we need two resources. One is our S3 bucket where our website will be hosted, our main website, and second is the CloudFront distribution from where our requests will be served. So, first of all, let's create an S3 bucket, and then I upload. Then we will upload the required uh, content there. So let's see, I don't like to open the same thing over and over again. So what I will do, I will search for S3 again, and instead of opening in the same window, I will open it in a new window, and then I will create a bucket. So I will create the bucket, and my bucket name is serverless website, then some random number, and then I will create the bucket. I hope no one has taken the bucket name. Oh wow, no one. Um, the name is so unique. Okay, so my bucket is there, and I have to upload my main website here. So before uploading the main website, let's first look into the code. So I will open this with Visual Studio Code. My text edit actually opens this in as a form. So I will open it with the Visual Studio Code just to see the index.html in a better way. So right now it's opening, and now this is my Visual Studio Code, and I see the index.html. So how this index.html looks like. So this is a very simple plain old HTML file where we have some head, where we have some script for CSS, and then we have the school administration student data, where we have a button to fetch all the student data, and then we have a student card information div where the student data, whenever you will fetch it or select the particular student, the card information or the student information will populate here. And then the main part comes here, where we have this fetch student list. This is the main thing where we have to replace the API gateway URL here, because our API gateway URL is something different than that, and this fetch student list is actually, this method is responsible for fetching the student list from the dynamodb table in the front end. So this will give a request to API gateway and ask, hey API gateway, I need all the students that you have, and here is the URL that I am asking you to serve me. So API gateway will look into this particular URL, and it will check that yeah, there is a prod stage deployed, and under that stage prod we have a student method or student resource deployed, and the student resource need to have a get method, which we already have, and the method name is get. There is currently no authorization configured, so I can serve the request. So what we have to do, we have to go back to our API gateway and go to dashboard and just change or copy this invoke URL, because this is something different. This is the one where I have tested before. So we have to change up to student. We have to change the URL, the one that we have created. Now I have changed the fetch student list URL. Similarly, we have to do it in another two method. So this is a student, this is for fetching the student list. The second one is fetch student data. This is for a particular student where you will pass the roll number. Then we again give it, and up to student we just replace the URL, and that's it. So it will again go to the API gateway, and will say that, hey API gateway, under the prod staging you have a resource called student, and under the student you have a resource where the roll number needs to pass, and here is the roll number that I want to get. And then I have a get request where please give me the details, and API gateway will see that everything is fine, there is no authorization configured, so it will give the student data response is in a string, JSON string file, JSON string. And then on the second and the last, and the last one, we already also have a API URL that we need to replace. And this API gateway, this API URL, what it does, it gives this API gateway a put request. Here, update student data, it gives a put request to our API gateway. Then we say that, hey, API gateway, we have a put request which will be served under the production stage under student and then the roll number, and this data, all the data we have needs to go inside this inside your request and do whatever you want to do. So API gateway will say that, okay, I got a put request, I need to serve this put request to Lambda, and then Lambda will say, I got the put request, I need to then insert it into a dynamodb table. So this is how the flow works. So my index.html is ready. So what I will do, I will go back to my S3 bucket and I will upload this index.html here in this bucket. So I will go to my documents and then serverless main, and this index.html, and I will just upload it. And then I will select upload, and then I will close it. The API gateway URL is changed. My S3 bucket is now ready to serve the traffic, but not so soon. What we need to do again is go back here and select CloudFront, because our request will be served from CloudFront distribution. So if you want, if we want, we have to have a CloudFront distribution configured. So I will select create a CloudFront distribution, and will be the front end from where our requests will be served. Now, very important. If you don't have any idea about how CloudFront works, please get an idea, or check some YouTube videos about how CloudFront works. Read some AWS documentation. This is a content delivery network which works from a edge location. It serves from S3 bucket, so where you don't have to expose your S3 bucket publicly, but rather you can just expose the S3 bucket to this distribution, which will use this origin access control, and then it will serve your traffic from S3 bucket to the user without exposing the S3 bucket as public. So CloudFront distribution, this is in a gist how CloudFront distribution works with S3. So you can have multiple videos with CloudFront distribution. You can find it in YouTube. Just search for it and just get an idea. But to follow through this course, I hope this is much needed. So anyway, so I will choose the serverless website, and this is my bucket name. So you have to choose an origin domain. Origin domain is something that you can choose API gateway, or you can choose elastic load balancer, or everything VPC as well. But in our case, we want to serve our traffic. Our website is in S3 bucket, so we will select a serverless website. Then the random string, that is our bucket name .s3.amazonaws.com. Then the origin path is something optional. You can give it, or you don't have to give it right now. And the name is already selected. And the origin access, something that don't give it to public, rather origin access control setting. Bucket restrict to only CloudFront. That means the bucket is not public, it is only restricted to CloudFront. And the origin access control is something that we have to create. So we select create an origin access control. This is what I was talking about. And then we have to sign the request, and we just don't click anything else. Sign the request and uh, click on create. So this will create an origin access control, and it will also select the same for you. And it says that you must update the bucket policy, because now your CloudFront needs to access your S3 bucket content. So you need to give CloudFront access to your bucket content via this bucket policy. But the bucket policy, we will configure it later. It will come here in the top after our creation. So this is fine. So apart from that, default cache behavior is something that you can check. You can change is cache optimized. This is for S3, but I will select is caching disabled. This is for, I don't want any caching to be here. So that's that. And for web application firewall. So for web application firewall, this I said that this is very important for DDoS protection. So right now I will enable the security, and I will also use the monitored mode. Security protection I will enable, and then I will not change anything else. And yeah, default root object that you can give, that whenever you will select this CloudFront distribution URL, it will directly redirect it to the distribution, then index.html apart. So you can give the default root object, but I will show it to you later how should we give it, or why should we give it. I don't think we will need anything else, and I will just create the distribution. Remember, this CloudFront distribution really takes lots of time to enable. So, and so for that I have to pause this video for some time. But before that, the one that is very important is you have to give a bucket policy. So as I said, in top of the banner you will receive the policy, where you can just copy it and you go back to your bucket and permissions, and under the bucket policy you click on edit and just paste this one. So this is this bucket policy that you have to give to your bucket, so that your CloudFront distribution can get the object for from this bucket. So now go back to our distribution, and we see that our distribution is still being created. So we go back to distribution and we see that it's still deploying. Good. I will pause this video for some time, and I will come back when the deployment is finished. Okay, now I see my distribution is deployed, and it took kind of 5 to 10 minutes for the deployment. And if we go inside of the distribution and copy the distribution name, and then click on a new browser and open it, yeah, we should be getting access denied because the root object does not know where to go. But then again, if after clicking on this, if I give slash then index.html, and then we will be able to see our nice and form about the student administration. So this is where we are serving the traffic. So now what we have done, we have asked CloudFront to serve the traffic from our S3 bucket. So we have asked CloudFront, so this is the URL, and you need to go to, and you need to give me the index.html. So CloudFront went and it saw that there is an S3 origin access control configured, and there is this index.html is needed, and I have the access from the permission, and so it served the website from the bucket. So still now we are at S3 bucket level. So we did not went to API gateway, and API gateway did not went to Lambda. So now let's request our API gateway to fetch some student data from Lambda and DynamoDB table. So you remember there is this button fetch student list. So this will call our fetch student list function. So fetch student list function actually invokes the API gateway, our student API. So remember our student API gateway function, this one, and it will call this get function, it will call this get method, sorry, it will call this get method, and it will go to the Lambda, and from the Lambda the requests will be served. So we click on the fetch student list button now, and it says that the student data fetched successfully. We will close this one, and on the drop down we see our 3 student data is populated. We go back to our DynamoDB table and we check if all the student data is there. So we see 3 data and 3 data is populated. Now, if we select one of the data, what will happen? So remember from our code, if we select one of the data, it will call the fetch student data method. And the fetch student data method will check the student data, and it will populate in our container div. So I will select one of the student and it see that the container div is populated. So this two functions are currently working. Now it's time so that we can update some student data. So let's, for the demo purpose, let's give a student name as X, Y, and Z. The age is 30. 30 is not a student, right? So maybe give it as 15. and then roll number is, so of course 30 can be a student, anyone can learn for his or her whole age, but we are talking about school administration or something. So yeah, basically someone with 18 or 20 years of age basically finishes their education. So anyway, don't get me wrong, but just for this demo purpose I will give it for 15, and the roll number maybe give it 007, and the class is uh, I don't know, 6 or 7 or 8, maybe 8, give it 8. And the subjects are maths, uh, English, geo, yeah. And the select gender, I will select male or female or whatever, maybe female. And the address is whatever. The parent name is, you can choose maybe ABC. The contact number is some random number, and the email ID is something at the rate maybe example.com. So that's it. We need to update the student data. So if we click on update student data, what will happen? So it says that student data update successfully for roll number 007. So we go back to our DynamoDB table here. And if we refresh this one, we see that that 007 student is being updated. And now we again, if we fetch the student list, we see that 007 came in, and if we select this one, we see that we have filled up this one. So now this is very interesting, this is going very interesting. So we see that our website is working correctly, and but currently there is this website, actually we have to go and specify index.html, right? Then we can go to here. But what if we don't want to specify that? So what we can do in the distribution section, in the settings, you see default root object. What we can do is we can edit this one, and we can give the default root object is index.html. So this is the reason I wanted to show you that what happens if we don't give it. So I want to save the changes, but again it will take some time for the deployment to happen. So it is still deploying, so I will come back when the deployment is done. Okay, now I see the deployment is done. So what we can do here, we can just remove this index.html and just click on this. And now we see that directly without this index.html, it came into our student administration page. So this is what I wanted to show you, that if I now do fetch student list, it will fetch all the students and then select this one. It will work properly. So the root object is something that you need to define, and you can define where you don't have to specify, or you don't have to specify in the URL where you want to go. So CloudFront will then go to the domain name and then the default root object, and from the S3 bucket you need to have this index.html so that it can be served. One more thing I wanted to specify is from a security perspective, is remember when we have enabled the web application firewall, which is a very good way to secure your application or your content or your whole website from DDoS protection and everything. You can also have multiple rules in web controls so that it can serve your traffic by the way that you define. There are a couple of AWS rule. There are a couple of managed rule that you can also define in web application firewall. Also, you can see the verified and the how many requests that came in. Is there anything bot controlled came in or not? How many requests served? How many requests rejected? All things that you can see. Web application firewall is very important to have enabled in your application specific way, so that you can monitor your application very minutely. This is from another security perspective, is that remember I have told you that there is something you can do in the authorizer, in the API gateway authorizer. So if you open the API gateway right now, if you go inside of any of the method, like for example this get method, the authorizer is nothing, so anyone can invoke the URL and get the data. Similarly, using a any method, any put method as well, the authorizer is not there. So this is not a good practice. So you need to have some kind of authorizer configured. This REST API supports two type of authorizer. One is Lambda authorizer and another one is Cognito authorizer. You can choose whatever authorizer you want to have. Basically, if you choose Lambda authorizer, in my code, I have given in this here serverless main in the custom authorizer here. If you open this file, the custom authorizer, you will get an idea how. So let me open this for you. Let me open it. Hold on. So I have opened this custom authorizer dot Python file where I have a Lambda handler which actually handles the authorization of your application. So you can use this authorization, or you can create your own authorization and add it to your API gateway. So this may be a separate task for you to implement it in your API gateway. Maybe let me know if you face any issue generating this authorizer in your API gateway. Uh, mm, what it's doing is it actually takes a token from the event, the authorization token. Then you also have to include the authorization token in your request. So this then the authorization token is getting validated, and you have to again validate this authorization token in the Lambda. But again, uh, from your front end perspective, you just have to serve this authorization token from here in the header. You have to create a authorization token here and pass it, and then also remember you have to give the token a value, and again the token value needs to be validated in this Lambda authorizer. So this is a custom authorizer that I have already given you in the GitHub repository. You can take this custom authorizer or you can build your own. So this may be a follow-up task for you. Maybe do it in your free time whenever you want, and let me know in the comment section how it went. Is the authorizer working or not? But it's very good practice to have this lambda authorizer or any cognito authorizer configured in your API gateway. So if you create an authorizer, then you go to resources and click on any method and you edit that, and then whatever authorizer you want to add, you can add it. So currently, if you don't want to have this lambda or API gateway authorizer, you can always select AWS IAM and choose your authorizer, choose your AWS IAM authorization token, and then the authorization also can happen. But right now, in this particular demo, the authorization is not there. So take it as a homework or follow-up task for you guys, and let me know how it went. So, I think that's it for this series, and I hope you really enjoyed this video, and I hope you really enjoyed the series. I hope your application also works like me, and then let me know in the comment section what you liked and what you not, so that I can make some recommended video out of you guys if you have any. This is again this particular series I got some response from that my previous web application serverless website hosting was not working properly. So this is the updated one. So I hope you will enjoy this, and I will be back with another exciting video. So till then, take care, goodbye, and whoever is new to this channel, kindly like, share, subscribe, and comment your thoughts. So I will see you in the next video.